Hi guys, this is Sandra Landau from Rockstar Testimony, where we get real and talk about how we feel. Today we have Jennifer Engel, and we are doing her All-Star Rockstar Testimony. We are discussing one of her life struggles, a portion of her life story, and also transformational change that she has experienced from the coaching of Dave Scatcherd. Jen, how are you? Jen? Did we lose ya? Jen?
Hi.
Hi. Do you want to start over? We lost ya.
No, that's okay. I'm here.
Going.
Yeah, keep on going. Yeah.
So, Jen, where are you from?
I currently live in Strathmore, Alberta, Canada.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about yourself, your personal background, professional background.
Well, personally, I'm a mom first and foremost. Professionally, I've been lots of different things, but currently I'm in training to be a nurse.
Yay.
So I've gone back to school and this is my first year back. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
That's amazing. So
yeah.
I want to first ask you how you came across Dave Scatcherd's the free challenge that he gave to get your life together and how that has impacted you.
Okay. Well, I don't know how I came across it, honestly. It must have been on Facebook or an email. And it was after Christmas and I'd been feeling not taking care of myself so well. Like I'd been getting through school, but that was pretty much all I'd been doing. My focus was just that. I'd lost my focus on my body, on, taking care of myself, eating properly, all of that. I was smoking and, coping with drinking, usually on the weekends for stress management and things like that. So
right.
I kind of hit a low, and I was also in a relationship that ended. And it wasn't the best. It was just kind of one of those like whatever relationships and it ended. And I found myself kind of after Christmas, being like, hey, I need to make some changes here. Mm-hmm. And I must have clicked on Dave's link. And then I got the Get Your Shit Together challenge thing. And I actually, for the first 3 mornings in a row, slept in and didn't go to the live ones because I didn't have my shit together.
It happened, right?
Yeah. So I finally tuned in on the last day and was like, wow, this is really something. Like, this is really freaking valuable. And I need to pay attention here. So I kind of woke up. Mm-hmm. And it happened to be the last day of the challenge. And he was signing up people for the All-Stars. And I was like, well, F it. I mean, can I swear? Sorry, I swear.
Absolutely. Hey, this is here to get real. We swear.
This is where, yeah. I was like, fuck it. Like, what do I have to lose? And I need this. I need to hear more of this. Like, basically, I need to be in this kind of energy right now. And so I just did it. So I can't really remember what the turning point was, like what was said in the Get Your Life Together challenge, but something resonated with me. And I thought, I need this right now. Right. So then I ended up in the All-Stars challenge.
Okay. Yeah.
And that started in February. So fast forward, like now it's been a month. I mean, more than a month of just being in the All-Star Challenge and being surrounded by all you amazing people, rock stars and people, real people. And it's been incredible for me. So that's how I found you guys and found Dave. And I don't know if you want me to go into detail about how the programs work for me right now, or if I can just leave it at that. But
You can just flow however you want. If you want to go into your story, portion of your story, and a struggle you want to speak about, you can do that.
yeah,
Your
well,
interview,
I think,
girl.
yeah, I think when you brought up the Light It Up challenge,
Yeah.
that was about halfway through the month in February, and I kind of like got we connected, you
Yeah.
and I, and you were commenting on some of the things I was saying in my videos, and I I come from a recovery background, so I guess I'll start with my story. I
Yeah.
when I was about 26, got pregnant and had to make some life decisions. I was in nursing school at the time. I was a pretty average 26-year-old, pretty much partying all the time and going to school, and that was my life. And all of a sudden, I became pregnant with someone, and I didn't know him at all.
Oh,
So it
okay.
was a very sudden pregnancy. We didn't know each other. We were just a couple of kids, and had to make some pretty big decisions in that moment.
Mm, okay.
And so one of the parts of my story is that I dropped out of school.
Mm,
I dropped out of nursing school when I was 26. So that happened. And I thought, okay, I'm going to be a mom now. And I'm going to be the best damn mom
there you go. Yeah.
because I ended up having a baby girl. And yeah, her name's Emily. And I always knew that I'd be a mom. And I always knew if I had a girl, I would name her Emily.
Awesome. So
So
awesome.
I did. Yeah. And really, it was a lot of joy, really, for both our families and everything. We were the two oldest of each family. And it was a lot of joy around this excitement of the baby. And so I really just went with that and really rolled with it. And I took on this new role with a lot of pride. However, like most of us, life isn't always roses.
Right.
And there was some stuff going on that wasn't the healthiest. And I was aware that my partner used drugs when before we met and when we met and all of that. I was aware of it. I just didn't think anything of it. I thought, well, we can deal with that or whatever. So here I was trying to be this like all-star mom and like super mom. And I almost died during the delivery of her. So I actually like bled out during the delivery and had to get 3 units of blood.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah.
Oh,
So that was traumatic for both of us. And, but I made it, I survived. And
wow.
so I think a lot was of what was going on was just a lot of, what I realized fast forward to 2011 is like what was going on was codependency. So my partner and I became very codependent with each other and like he, it's kind of like that empath and that addict, and they just get together and it's just like a big shit fight.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it was. And there was a lot, like we didn't have good boundaries with each other. We were young, and there was a lot of drama. And I found myself reaching a low, and I couldn't figure out why. And I couldn't figure out why. I was just like felt so suffocated and soul sucking, like
Mm,
everything just hard, right? And so depression, I guess is what you'd call it, hit me.
okay.
And I had this baby to take care of, and by then I had 2 babies. So my son came along 2 years later, because what do you do when you're struggling? Well, let's have another baby,
Right, right. Can I
and
stop you real quick because I have
yeah,
a question? You said
yeah.
depression hit you. What did that
Mhm.
feel like for you?
For me, my depression showed up really like um it was a combination of anxiety and depression. So I was stuck in perfectionism.
Okay.
And so if everything wasn't perfect, it was never good enough. And I spent a lot of my days and my time and my hours just trying to make everything perfect for my daughter, everything perfect for me. We had to look perfect when we left the house. And I was really trying to just hold the ship together. Right. Like
Right.
I was, because the addict in my life, he was sort of spinning out of control, but I didn't realize that's what I was trying to compensate for, because I was trying to put on all these masks.
Right.
And so the depression hit. When it hit, it was like pain.
Okay.
Physical pain, like where it was like if someone touched me, it hurt.
Okay.
My hair hurt.
Was that pain all over your body, or was that a specific area?
Some days, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And it felt like a real, like I just remember I used the color gray.
Okay.
It's just like everything was gray, and I couldn't express myself anymore. I kind of lost the ability to be joyful, even in circumstances that should have been joyous. I couldn't find the ability to really find the light. I was always like worried about the what's wrong. And
Right.
even though I was managing, it was, like I was waking up in physical pain.
Right.
And, my doctor, of course, in all his best, he just, I went through it, and he was like, well, you might be postpartum, but this was 2 years after. So I couldn't figure out, like, how did I get through 2 years of raising a baby and I didn't have postpartum? Like,
Right.
I couldn't figure out why that was still the diagnosis. I was like, no, it's not that. But anyway, he chose a medication for me to try. And at first it was, and I wasn't sleeping, of course. So at first it was like the little blue pill, they call it, like to help you sleep at night. So that was supposed to help me. And then the next one was like the, your citrulline, like the SSRI medication. So that's the next step. And then I tried that for a while. And then he eventually put me on a Cipralex. And so, and that carried on, but I was still, I knew something wasn't quite right. And so how this would look also with my depression, anger showed up.
Okay.
So I would get so angry at myself or anyone because I wasn't coping, but I was. I was a runner. So how I dealt with it is physical. Okay. I literally would I was running about 13 kilometers every 3 days, just to manage. And I was training and trying to keep up. And really, I was pushing myself to the bone. And so also at the same time what was going on, I know this sounds complicated, but it is. Life is messy. And at the same time, what was going on is I would be getting verbal backlash from my partner. Like anytime I stepped up and stepped out and went for a run or did something healthy, it was just like I got a complete fucking asshole remark, or right. And being the girl that I am, I would push back. Right. And I would defend myself, and that turned into domestic violence.
I am so much like you, girl.
Because I don't take shit. And
so much like you. Throwing up my rock star. Yeah. You're so much like you. Keep going.
Yeah. So, but that turned into just, there was nobody to stop us from arguing. There was no one to stop it. And it came to a low. And I ended up, I thought that I was maybe going to harm him. So we called someone. Okay. And it was a family member, which isn't helpful because they immediately, it's when you learn codependency, there's this triangle, and it's like victim, rescuer, perpetrator.
Okay.
And there's people in that triangle always just bouncing around into different roles.
Oh, okay.
So if I was the victim one day because he said something to me and I didn't like it, then he was the perpetrator, I was the victim, and then this other person would come in and rescue. Or the next time it would be that he was the victim and I was the perpetrator. Like, this is the cycle.
Right.
And I didn't learn this till later. At this point, I had no idea what was going on. All I know is that I hit a low, and his mom had come over, taken the kids, he left, and there I was alone in my shower, sitting on the floor of the tub at one of the darkest moments of my life. And I didn't know what I was going to do because I couldn't go on. And so I got up, and his mom was trying to help me, and I didn't want to hear from her because I felt like she was part of the problem.
Okay.
Unfortunately, because yeah, it's complicated. And so I got up and I went downstairs to the computer and I actually looked up codependency. Okay. And I don't know how I knew how to do that. I was, well, I guess I was 30 at the time. So I'd had some language around it. I'm a reader. I pick up books, I pick up things, I learn things. And so I had some knowledge to know. But anyway, I found a place in Canada, in the island, that is an addiction center, and it also treats codependents.
Oh, okay.
So it was a week long. It was in February, and that was in January of 2011.
Okay.
Or then 2011 going on 2012. I signed up for the week-long codependence training, and it's usually for people that have an addict in recovery.
Okay.
My partner at the time was not willing to go, and a lot of his denial, wouldn't let him see that maybe this was an opportunity for him to get help too.
Right.
And he didn't go, but I thought, I don't give a shit what you're doing. I got to save me.
Right. Wow.
So I got on I booked it, got on a plane, and it was January because it was New Year's. We went to a New Year's party the night before, and I got on the plane the next day. And I think I was so rattled, I even almost missed my flight. I was just a wreck because I didn't know what I was getting into. This was uncharted territory for me. Right. To go actually talk about problems. This is another. So this is funny because so when I was growing up, my mom had a brain tumor.
Okay.
And when I was 4 years old, and she had personality changes. As you know, a brain tumor will cause problems. So I don't remember it. But she kind of lost it for a while. And then she got treatment for the brain tumor. But there was a lot of behaviors that she would have had at that time that I would have seen and I would have been involved in. And so some of the stuff that was coming up for me was actually is that I didn't know how to parent my kids because of what I saw, as a kid, and some of her struggles. And I didn't know that at the time either. So it was really complicated because my family was like, well, maybe you have a brain tumor. They wanted me. This is how crazy it is. They were like, I think you should go get checked out for a brain tumor rather than it be depression or mental illness or codependency or addiction or any of those. They wanted it to be a medical condition. You must be and this is back in 2011. So I know we've come a long way in the world since then, or maybe we haven't, but they would have rather that I was sick.
But yeah. Go ahead.
You know what I'm saying though, right? Like they would have rather that it would have been a brain tumor that would have been easier to swallow than mental health.
Wow. Say that again.
They would have rather that it had been a brain tumor or something medical more substantial than depression, anxiety, domestic codependency, whatever you want to call it. They would have rather that it had been something medical. They didn't want to hear that I was going to a recovery center
Right.
to look at the issues,
Right.
the
You
real issues.
Right. And you said something so powerful. I don't give a shit. I have to save myself.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God you did that.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Amazing. So you got to the recovery center.
Okay. So I'm there, and it was about 5 days of melody beady and focusing on yourself, finding emotion. Like, holy shit, I didn't like when you're codependent, you shut down so much emotion that they would go around the room each morning and ask us our feelings. And none of us could fucking say a feeling. They would say, I think, or and I caught on to this right away. And I was like, I started seeing what the counselors were doing, and they're like, that's not a feeling. Like they would call us out on our shit and be like,
Right.
that ain't a feeling, actually. Like that's a thought. What are you feeling? And it's almost like codependents aren't allowed to feel. Like we've shut that off because we're managing.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was really interesting to see the level of sickness that we can really get to.
Right.
So 5 days of that and some nature walks, amazing women. It was all women. It just happened to work out that way. And it's not always the case.
Okay.
Amazing friendships, exploration. It rained the whole entire time. I painted a picture while I was there of this swirling, these circles of all these colors and just swirling. And one lady bought us paints and she said, I just want everyone to paint. And it was so healing. And I would listen to the rain and I would read and call on God. And so by the end of that week, the last day they put up on the blackboard all the things that when we came in here we were feeling, experiencing, whatever. And they wrote all the words in black. So you imagine this blackboard and it was like fear, desperation, loneliness, anxiety, pain, suffering, alcoholism, drug addiction, infidelity, like just this whole thing of darkness, this side. And then on the other side, they asked each, and I can't remember how they brought it out of us, but then they wrote it in blue, was all these words of the opposite of that. Hope, joy, God, nature, love, peace, understanding, gratitude. You see what I'm getting at? And I looked up at that blackboard and I couldn't even see the other side anymore.
Oh, that's powerful.
Like I couldn't see the dark side anymore.
Wow. That's like from death to life. Wow.
And that was my first spiritual awakening.
Wow. That's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
So that was in 2012. But of course I had to go back. I had to leave that little sanctuary of peace and love and light. And I had to go back to 2 kids and an addict.
Right.
And it didn't stop there. So I continued on in my recovery journey. My family was not still super, super pumped about what I was sharing or what I was doing. In 2012, I decided to do a run because I continued running. And I decided to make it about mental health. And I signed up for this race and couldn't go to the race. And anyway, ended up doing it by myself on Sunday. And it was freezing cold. And I thought, no, I'm going to do it. I've trained for this. And so I put a post on Facebook making it for awareness for mental health.
Right.
And my number Sandra, was 1111. My race bib number.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so
So
awesome.
I did the race solo, and it was whatever. It didn't take off. I was hoping more people would like that, but I got comments about it, and like I was hoping to at that point hear some other people's stories. Like what you're doing right now. Like, everyone has a story, and I just at that point, because of my spiritual awakening, I wanted people to be able to get past their story, and to get into that. But anyway, it happened. But the funny part is, from my family, the backlash I got from my brother was that, what are you doing making personal problems public? So that really shut me down at that time. As a young woman, I didn't want to, it scared me. Your family is like that connection to them is so important that we almost will go through anything just to be included or supported by them. And it's really hard to realize that what you're experiencing might not be your truth, might not be accepted by them, and they might not be ready to handle it.
Right.
But again, it wasn't about them anymore.
Right.
Because I had to save this girl.
Absolutely.
So that was 2012, and a lot of other things happened that year as well that were very spiritual. God showed up so many times in strangers and in things, and it was amazing. And we were able to afford a brand new house, and wow. And I stayed in Codependence Anonymous for 4 or 5 years. I kept going. I had a sponsor, because that's something else. After you go through that program, you're a member for life, and you get connected with local groups of either Al-Anon or Codependence Anonymous or things like that. And I did, and I reached out, and I worked my program, and I did the 12 steps, and I still cling to it today. But it wasn't just all like this from then on, as you know.
Right.
Because recovery's like this, you guys.
Yes. That's so powerful. And I will say that was like a misconception that I had after I had a spiritual awakening and I had like a life transformation. I thought I was just going to go all up until like I was like, oh, okay, here we go. Like,
or you have a spiritual awakening and you're like, great, now I'm here, I'm good.
Right.
There's still the layers. So that's why we call it peeling the onion.
Yeah.
And peeling the onion, because once you get through a layer, then you find another layer, but there's relief every time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my hope for everyone, is that we're gonna get stuck in the mud, but there is, when you peel back again another layer of and getting to your authentic self, underneath that is so much hope. So
absolutely. Wow.
So I mean, the problems didn't end. There was more domestic violence. There was things smashed, there was things broken, and there was broken hearts and brokenness. And I think one of the big turning points for me was in 2016 when I ended up in a women's shelter with my 3 babies, because my ex had come home in the middle of the day, and he was looking for relief from stress from work, and he wanted to party and brought cocaine into our house while I was napping with my baby son, who was only 1.5 years old.
Okay.
And he did cocaine, and unfortunately for him, the reaction to that was, his reaction to cocaine is very obvious. It's he's almost like allergic to it. So yeah, it's very obvious and very hard to see, hard to watch.
Mm.
So it was very obvious to me. I woke up off the couch from a dead sleep with my son, my little 15-month-old, sleeping on top of me, to this guy like standing there, and he was completely whacked out. And I'd had enough. And I got up and left. And I took my 3 kids to the bedroom and I left. I didn't know where to go. I was so embarrassed.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is a woman who has held the shit together for so long that nobody knows. Nobody knows what's going on, you know, and
Right.
it all looks pretty rosy from the outside looking in, which I think is most of us, you know. And so I was so embarrassed. I was so embarrassed. Yeah, I just, that this is where I was. This is where I ended up.
Right. Wow.
Yeah. And so I laid there in that shelter, and they made a plan. You know, we got a plan for me to get out of the marriage. I sent the kids to my parents' house, but regardless of that, my kids still had to go through that.
Right.
And then I sought counseling through that shelter, because we did have the support here in Canada, which I'm so grateful for. Amazing counselors and everything. But that wasn't the end. I still went back.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. That was 4 years ago. And then basically it's been a 4-year struggle to leave. And I finally last year decided on my own to start over fresh and put myself through school.
Oh, good for you.
And yeah, that's been since March of 2020, the lovely 2020.
Wow.
Since the pandemic started. So
You are such a rock star. That's amazing.
I don't know if I feel like a rock star. I do now. It took a really long time for me to finally start feeling proud of myself.
Yeah.
And that's something else that I struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I was making all these changes and I was doing great things, it never really, I couldn't feel it. It was never enough. And I think it's because I have so many years of wasted energy on fighting, of wasted energy on dysfunction,
Mm-hmm.
that I have a lot of years to make up for now. Yeah. So, and then I found all of you.
Yay. Oh.
Yeah. So
Wow, I'm just taken back by your story and your strength. Like you have this inner strength and this inner fire in you that like you're just not going to give up. Like no, you're going to go for what you want, and you're amazing. Whether you feel like a rock star or not, you are a rock star and you are amazing. You're absolutely amazing.
thank you, Sandra.
And
Yeah.
you shine your light bright, and you help people, and you're just, I can't say enough about you. You're just amazing. You are amazing.
Thanks, girl. And you know, the reason I wanted to share all this is because we had a really candid conversation in nursing school yesterday, and we are getting to the point where we can talk about this. We are getting to the point where people's stuff, like our stuff, is starting to come up, and it's starting to be like, there's pain here, you guys. Like, there's so much pain here. And you know it, Sandra, and that's why you're doing what you're doing. But we know we got to fix it. And I think the only way is through sharing our experiences. Absolutely. And our strength. Yeah. And because when you're in it, it might be your story that helps somebody else.
Yes. Yes.
And I think too, so it was a really amazing class. We were talking about mental health and medications in our nervous system lecture. And it was a pharmacology class that turned into a, hey, me too.
Oh,
hey, me too, you know, like, so our instructors
yeah.
saying, yeah, like even our instructors saying, I've had depression since I was 13 and I've struggled my entire life. I don't think that that would have happened 2 years ago.
No,
I don't think that
no,
you know, that conversation would have been so candid two
right.
years ago. And I mean, with the Bell Let's Talk Day, and like we've had some amazing famous athletes come out about their depression,
Hmm.
their mental health, and we have a lot of things moving forward. So it's a great push, you know, and I'm happy and excited that we're getting to this point
Yes.
where we can be real and say what we've gone through and that we don't have to hold shame.
That's so powerful. Yes, absolutely. That's so good. That's
So,
there's such a stigma, such a stigma. And we've come so far, and like you said, there's progress, but it's still there.
still there. It's still there. I mean, yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's really hard, but we are making progress one story at a time, I guess. Like, that's why I'm so like grateful for you guys and you, what you're doing. And
Aw.
yeah,
Thank you. And to talk about, to just back up a second to talk about the mental health stigma that you had mentioned. Actually, myself in leading these platforms that I have, I actually had fear to come out and say I'm advocating for mental health.
yeah,
Um, I had to get over that. But there's such a stigma that, like, as a registered nurse and just I was afraid to just be like, oh, I'm a mental health advocate. This is what I'm doing. I'm putting a face to anxiety, to depression, to suicide attempts, to, the things that people, addiction, to, abuse, to things that everybody goes through. And
yeah,
I had fear that I had to work through to say, okay, I am a mental health advocate. And now I'm damn proud of it.
yeah. And I'm still in that. I feel that fear. It shows up in me.
Yeah.
It shows up in my body, and I'm working through it through this program. And I'm finding my voice. But the
Yeah.
fear, I think, will always be there, because the last thing anyone wants is to be ostracized from the tribe. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
be, uh,
Yeah.
you know, be excluded or be labeled, or so that labeling is almost our disservice
Yes. Or
to
called,
the person.
right. Right. Yeah.
Because when we label it, we take the person out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we live in a world where it's all, we want to have, everything has to have a name and a label and a box, and we have to put people in it. But I am just like you, and you are just like me. And
Yeah.
he is just like him. And
Yep.
we are all connected. And I know that's what your message is.
Yes, absolutely. And I actually just posted something the other day that said, I'm not my diagnosis, I'm just me. And I had
Mm-hmm.
a picture of myself, and I had a little black heart on the top, and it said, end the stigma. And it said anxiety, depression, PTSD, complex PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm just me. You don't have to,
Mm-hmm.
everybody goes through, different things. And yeah, just,
Yeah. And I mean, what is it? What is my label? Oh, I have anxiety one day, I am depressed the next, you know, or like,
yes.
and I'm codependent, and then I'm also exhibiting, you know, things like that an alcoholic would, or, you know, I'm having a moment there. Like, it doesn't matter,
Right.
right? What matters most is that there is this pain
Mm-hmm.
inside of us that we need to shine light on
Yes. Yes.
and get out of our bodies.
Yes. So
So it,
cool.
call it what you want,
Yep.
but I mean, if it helps, and it, you know, it helps in some ways, I guess, but getting a label, I mean, I got a label recently of, oh, you know, maybe my, through school, that the psychotherapist, whatever they're called, she said, well, you could have ADHD tendencies, but that can also be masked by anxiety. So we're not really sure.
Right.
And it's like, did that help me to know that?
No. maybe not, but
yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, and we search for these concrete sort of answers that are very cerebral. But this is a spiritual disease.
Yeah.
This is a disease of spiritual deficit. And it's one that is very insidious, and it's actually affecting a lot of people on the whole planet.
Yes. Now, when you say that, are you speaking of like emotional trauma? Or
yeah.
Okay.
I'm speaking of, sorry, when I say dis-ease, I mean like any dis-ease in the body. I mean, where like maybe spirituality isn't able to, where you don't have a connection to God, where you've blocked off a part of yourself that can no longer be connected. And, you've experienced a darkness that you can't really get out of. And I guess that's the disease that I'm speaking of in a larger scale. And it could show up as any one of these conditions. Right. That's just my view. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing. That's wow. It's like I feel it as you're talking. Wow.
Oh, that's my experience, strength, and hope. Yeah. I hope.
Wow. So as an all-star, and you just joined the mastermind team, which I'm so excited for you. What does it mean for you to be an all-star and be a part of like that closed group in that community? What is it like for you, or what has it done for you? How has it helped you?
Wow. Okay, well, first of all, there's been deep healing that deeper than I could imagine, than I could do on my own. So the old saying goes, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Mm-hmm. And it's like finding people that you can speak your truth to has been freeing, and so the healing can begin. And I mean, what our fearless leader Dave Scatcherd has done in the program he created is out of this world, because I mean, we're talking like 26 some meditations that are completely filled with light that I use daily. Yes. So, seeking the refuge in meditation, and really having accountability with the group also to back that up, and to be involved with people are going through the same thing. It's that level playing field where you start off and you're like, okay, and know that if I'm going through it, somebody else is going through it. Yes. Like, yep. If I share something, I know that someone else is feeling that way too. Mm-hmm. And so it makes me not afraid to share, because that it's like, me too, man. Like, right, yeah. Right. We're in this together. Yeah, we're in this together. And I mean, we always say that, but like, when do we really get to feel like we're in this together? Right. And I was just going to say, we really are. Yeah. Like, we really are, as a group and a family. We really are. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So it's just nice, because if I have a bad morning with my daughter who does have anxiety and it's debilitating, and I don't always know how to handle it, and I do my best, and I'm working with her counselors, and I study Ayurveda, and I do, and I'm studying nursing, and I'm trying to get all these tools. But at the end of the day, as a mom, what we really need is some other mom to say, hey, me too. Yes. Yep. Or a dad, sorry. Yeah. But like, hey, me too. my kid does that. This showed up from my child, and what do I do with it?
Right. Wow.
So that's what this has done for me. And I mean, the fitness, and like results. So I quit drinking in January by choice, but then I continued that on through February because of the group, and I quit smoking, and I work out every day, sometimes twice a day. And I've reignited my businesses because of it.
So I was just going to lead into, just for time's sake, because the Zoom's going to shut off in a little bit.
Oh yeah.
So I was going to ask for our viewers and our listeners, how can they find you? What are you doing today to shine your light? Share with us your companies, what you're doing.
Yeah, I would love to. So I started Personal Power Fitness back in 2016 when I was doing some programs and fitness is my drug. So, I started doing that, and I thought, hey, you know what? I've always wanted I'm very physical. I was in gymnastics. I played a lot of sports. So my body to me is my expression. And I really wanted to help other moms and other women, and men, like, find their strength to lift weights and do that. So Personal Power was created back then. And then Sacred Soul Ayurveda. So I sought out training as an Ayurvedic health coach 2 years ago. And I went through a full year-long program of diving into these ancient modalities of healing. And that has been my training before nursing school. So now what I'm doing is I started my other business is called, well, they're both the same, but Sacred Soul Ayurveda. And the goal of that is to teach people about the ancient practices that can really support their structure of their body and sort of mitigate some of the stress, the seasonal stress, the food stress, the stuff that we do every day that sort of impacts our bodies. And it's also a huge healing component where I teach people to sort of get into meditations based on their bones and their structure. And it's a little bit of emotional processing. So, yeah, I know that's a long call, but
it's absolutely amazing. And actually, Jennifer's companies have partnered with Rockstar Testimony. And she is going to be giving free sessions, right, for anyone who needs help in those areas. Rockstar Testimony website currently is in the process of being updated, and so as soon as that is updated, you'll be able to find her businesses on there and her services, and you'll be able to sign up for a free session.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, that's so amazing. We're so happy to have you on our Rockstar team.
Thanks.
I'm just beyond honored to have been able to walk you through your story today. And I know your story is going to help heal a lot of people. And I just
I hope so.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm really honored to be a part of this, and thank you for allowing me the space and the time. And also, I'm really, really happy to be a volunteer, and I really believe in volunteerism, and that's what's going to get us through this. So, yeah, whatever energy I can give you and in your causes, it's there. So I love it.
So much. I love your servant heart. It's amazing. Amazing. And so to our viewers and to our listeners, if Jen's story touched you in any way, or you want to reach out to her, or you have a story to share yourself, you can reach out to support@rockstartestimony.com. And also, there you go. She's throwing up her rockstar. And you can follow. I was going to say follow us on Twitter. We only have like a few followers on Twitter because we haven't been real active with like posting and all of that. But subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's where these are going to be posted until our website's ready, and then we'll have our collection of interviews on there. So thanks for listening. Thanks again.
Yeah.
Jen. Bye.
Thanks, rock stars.
Yep, peace.
Bye.
Bye.